Simplicity. Oh, silly cameras. Give us a moment, guys. We'll be right there with you. This is me. Hi. This is Shannon.
Hello.
There we go.
Technology.
It'll work with us eventually. Welcome to Lunchtime Live. I am Leslie.
And I'm Shannon.
Welcome back, Shannon.
Thank you. Good to be here with you.
You know, I check it and it just... It's sassy.
It's cold today.
It's cold today. The camera's like, I just want to be cozy.
My car had a hard time starting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can we talk about the sheer technological giddiness I get out of being able to start my car with my phone?
With your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my goodness.
It's too much. It's too much. The future is now, people.
Wow.
But it means... I'm in my house and my car is out. We can't do it in the garage, obviously.
I used to have an electric car starter. I mean, that was a pretty amazing thing.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty great.
Can I do a quick shout out?
Please
to
do.
These earrings.
They're beautiful.
My niece made these.
She made
those? Yes, in Richmond, Virginia. She made it. She's an artist.
Clearly.
Yeah, and she's in her mid-20s.
Stunning.
And she sent these to me for Christmas.
I love the color.
So, thank you, Garrett Patterson Montgomery. I just give a shout out to her. Anyway,
love it.
Thank you.
Love it. Versus me, who my husband got me these earrings, and they're made to be left in.
Good.
I guess, which was good because he got them to me for Christmas right before COVID hit.
And you've worn them ever since?
Yep.
Okay. That's
so maybe as like a celebratory thing when COVID ends, I'll change my earrings.
All right, what are we talking about?
I don't know. This is what happens when Shannon and Leslie are on the live stream. Welcome to the live stream from Roundhill Community Church. We're going
to have fun today.
Full off topic. But
we're talking about spiritual disciplines.
We're talking about spiritual disciplines, but it actually applies because we were talking in our podcast, which we record right before this. We were talking about things and stuff.
Things, right.
And simplicity.
One of the spiritual disciplines that I've been talking about from Richard Foster's book, Celebration of Discipline, is, and we don't like the discipline word, but no. One of the practices.
Yes. So, okay, I'm going to stop you again because it's the live and we can be a little more chaotic.
Yeah.
That I appreciate you pivoting off disciplines. Practices as a professional musician. Practice is also not a great word.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not
taking piano lessons because I didn't want to practice.
It's not a good word.
All right. So tools.
Yeah.
Tools.
Options?
Maybe a carpenter wouldn't like that either. I don't know. What's a proper
we're getting into.
Let's hear it. If you're on, chat with us and tell us what. So we're talking about spiritual disciplines like meditation and prayer. Today's are simplicity and solitude.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about in the podcast.
Yeah. Which are both challenging.
Simplicity in this area of the country and even in this country.
Sure.
Where you're always trying to get the latest techno thing to start your car.
It just came with it, guys. I didn't pay extra for it, I promise.
No, or the latest fad, or
yes,
we have to have that. Right?
You have to have that.
Getting that thing will make me I'm sorry, I have to say this.
Do it.
Because my skin is so white in the winter. I just got some self-tanner, and my daughter picked out the right thing for me. And I'm like, do I really need self-tanner?
Yeah.
What does that say? I don't know.
That's okay.
But that's maybe not practicing simplicity. But we were talking about how the stuff, whether from previous generations or the stuff that we accumulate, really
both and
clogs us.
It does.
It clogs up mentally, and that sometimes, as Foster would say, it's the lack of a connection with the divine center that makes us want to accumulate and almost secure for ourselves that we'll be okay.
Right.
So I mentioned on the podcast that I had this thing as a kid of I'm not going to be okay, so I need to make sure my stuff is in order.
Right.
So that I'll be taken care of.
It's like you make a little fort.
Yeah.
Of
and that has to be this
emotional
practice of simplicity is about letting go of that and really trusting that without stuff, we are in the care of a loving God.
Right. It makes me think, actually, very funny. If you remember last week when you came in to record, you came down here, and I hadn't been here for a week, and I, had fresh eyes, and I noticed the chaos that was on my desk here, and you were very kind to wait 10 minutes while I was like moving everything around and shoving everything, because it was like I knew I couldn't focus with just the things in the stuff. It was not simple. I literally had 2 computers stacked behind each other.
And I put down a new pad.
I put down, guys, my pad matches my
I know it's very it's very green.
I don't know. Did I need it? No.
Well, no, but it's soothing. It's a whole thing.
It's my aesthetic.
So you have to have the pieces together. Well,
yes,
I don't know about with simplicity, but
yeah, we got off topic quickly. But I think so. We wanted to throw it to you guys, either here live or in the chat later. So this idea of spiritual disciplines, spiritual practices, is there other language that you use when you approach these things?
Let's find something new. Let's create something.
I like it, especially because we were talking about how it's beginning to look a lot like Lent. Around here, it's almost Lenten time.
Yeah, March
2nd. That sounds right.
It's that first Wednesday in March.
Yes, is Ash Wednesday. Look at you, March 2nd. Well done.
Yeah, I know. It's liturgical head.
I'm gonna write that on the calendar. On this one. And so thinking about now's really the time when it's not like right in front of us of how do we want to approach that time, because last week we kind of talked about some of the inward things. Fasting is often like a common thing, giving up alcohol, coffee, sugar, what have you, giving up something.
It's a typical Lenten mindset.
It's a classic thing, right?
When I was here before, there was Cara Pellegrino did a children's sermon one day.
Yeah.
That was about taking something on versus giving something up. And so some of these disciplines or practices could be something that you consider taking on. The other one was solitude and the importance of finding time to be alone without being lonely, really kind of being alone to open your heart to God, because that's what all of these spiritual disciplines are in an effort to connect us with the presence of God, who always wants to be in touch with us.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole thing, right? It's like when we're still enough, then we can really be open to hearing.
Right. I actually wanted to get your opinion on something that just popped into my head, because the thing with Lent that I think I struggle with is in my perfectionistic brain is that you have to do the thing every day. And then the first day I don't do the thing, I'm like, well, now it's over. because I wasn't perfect at it. So
it sounds like the typical like New Year's resolutions, right?
Yeah,
like about
basically.
I'm going to go on a diet, and then the first day you like. So that's where self-compassion needs to come in. We've talked about that over the last few months,
right?
Of just not being so extreme in our thinking, but just kind of compassionate for the day. What can I do today? And you can keep goals too, right?
Yeah.
You want to keep goals, but what practices can I put in place today that where I'm choosing, right? I'm surrendering versus submitting. We were talking about the difference in surrender and submission. So in surrender, you're choosing for yourself what you want to do. That kind of brings it back to my own responsibility.
Yeah.
And if I fall off, and don't do it that day, then I have the next day to try it again.
Sure.
And just to be loving to myself in the midst of it, knowing that we're always going to slip up. I mean, it's just part of humanity, right? It's our human nature.
Yeah. Whether we like it or not.
How can we be self-compassionate even in the spiritual practices?
Right.
Like, okay, so I didn't feel like doing it today. I'll do some more tomorrow. Just 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or whatever. But
you're still making progress.
You're always making progress, right?
Right. That my favorite saying when with my piano kiddos is practice makes progress.
Yes, instead of perfect.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that word.
How many of us ever heard that? Practice makes perfect.
Nobody's
perfect.
Someone gave it to me on a keychain when I was a kid.
Who wants to be perfect anyway? That's kind of boring.
Well, or unattainable.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I was like, it's not going to
It's a lot of inauthenticity is what that is.
Yeah. It doesn't exist.
The other thing we talked to about in the podcast, and he goes into it, is that idea of dark night of the soul, which kind of sounds a little ominous.
It sounds like Halloween, yeah.
I know, but it's a real thing that people of faith go into, and they don't always know how to view it. It's a time, a period, maybe in your life. Sometimes it can be short, and sometimes it can be a couple of years. And most of those who have been spiritual giants have gone through it.
Sure.
Where you feel disconnected. You feel disconnected from God. You feel disconnected from other people. You may think it's depression, and you need to be checked out by a doctor to make sure that clinically you're not depressed. But it may include some of that. It may be a time of sadness. And just to know that that is a time that could be incredibly precious in terms of exploring the wilderness. I mean, that's what we talk about in Lent, right? Going into the wilderness and kind of removing things that would distract us and just knowing that we will get to the other side, maybe discarding some things and then getting to a deeper sense of spiritual reality for yourself.
I feel like there's some element of that people have experienced through COVID.
I do too.
There's been a lot of like distillation in people's lives of who am I?
Right.
What do I want?
Right.
Where, like literally, where do I want to be?
Right.
And people,
and how do I want to be in that?
Right. And people making those big
choices
changes
that were made for them, like you can't come into the office, so you have to be at home.
Right.
Or you have to be around family members, whether that's a good thing or not a good thing. For some people, it showed. I mean, my husband's a therapist. A lot of couples are in couples counseling now.
Sure.
Because you're faced with new realities of your partner.
Right.
Some people have tried to avoid that by going to substances. Alcoholism rates are way up.
Yeah.
And prescription drugs.
Yeah. People trying to escape facing this solitude or facing, facing what they worry perhaps is lurking for them in the solitude.
Right. And one of the things that I appreciated about what Richard Foster says is that you need to have the combination of connection as well as the solitude. So connection to make us accountable so that if we're going off the rails, that people can pull us back in, people who know and love us. And then that combined with solitude. Yeah. So either one on an extreme is not a good thing.
Right.
But we need the combination of that.
Which I feel like is so tough.
So
I feel like, I mean.
Thank goodness for Zoom. over these times. I mean, even though that's kind of pseudo connection, but it's still some sense. I mean, we had a wonderful conversation yesterday after worship on Zoom. There were probably 14 of us, or 13 or 14 of us that were on, that were really sharing heartfelt ways that they experienced blessing in their lives, ways that they've received it and given it. And I was amazed, that people were willing to be that open and vulnerable. That just showed the hunger for connection.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel like we were missing it before.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just, Ed has said a couple of times, COVID has felt like it accentuated things that were already happening. So if something was good, it became deeper and richer. And if something was kind of on the edge of being really difficult, it sort of pushes everything towards extremes. And when, with connection, it's so difficult. And, and I think that balance of solitude and then making sure we also have that deep connection is challenging.
It's challenging.
If we don't feel like, right? It almost, I sort of had this image a second ago of going caving into a deep cave, but you've got your rope and you've got your friend at the top who's got your rope
and a flashlight
for you, and probably snacks. So, but you've got your friend there for you to pull you out.
Yes.
In case things get iffy.
Yeah.
But also to give you the rope to go as deep as you need to go.
And you can see when the bat starts coming at you. Sorry, that's freaking me out.
You brought the bats. My cave was sparkling with gemstones, so I don't know about that.
I'm sorry. I was in a cave in Nicaragua.
Oh, jeez.
With people from the church.
Yeah.
And a bat came at us.
Oh no! Yeah. Oh no!
A bunch of bats.
Maybe Shannon's secretly Batman.
Batwoman.
Batwoman. Excuse me. Bat person. I think that's the challenge and the innate vulnerability of this idea of intentional, thoughtful solitude.
Yeah. Definitely. I like that. So the other ones that he mentioned, again, submission and service. Yep. And, we talked about surrender versus submission.
Yeah.
Surrendering over to God that things are going to be okay, that I take responsibility for my life. Mm-hmm. That's a big one, rather than blaming other people. Sure. So it's up to me to make things happen and kind of get myself out of the way when God's moving through, to just be available. Right. And then service. This church is really good with service.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's some great things, and I have to say I really appreciate that when you stepped in to cover these 2 weeks of Round Home Media, she made a 2-parter series. It makes me really happy. My little organized brain is like, what?
And I gave notes.
I got notes. It's been great. It's been absolutely wonderful. So I just can't thank you enough for your time.
Oh, it's been wonderful.
And you're thoughtful.
I've enjoyed it.
I hope you'll be back.
I'd love to be back.
So fun.
I'd love to be back. Even with Ed here, I'd love to be back.
Yes. Well, I had designed the studio originally for 3 people, and then COVID. Okay. So we have a third microphone. It is currently lurking at my house, actually. I keep looking at it like, well, I'll need you eventually. So that would be a lot of fun.
So I just want to take a moment to say, well done job on your end for all that you're doing with all of the things online. It's really, the church is so fortunate to have you and all of the gifts that you bring.
Oh, thank you.
So really, really important. There was an op-ed real quickly in the Times yesterday about an Anglican priest, female Anglican priest, who said, so now that COVID's over, we need to do away with all the online stuff. And I went, no.
That's no.
It's a both and. We're going to keep both.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need the in-person and we need the online so that people that can't get out or people that live far away that want to reconnect with the community can do so.
Yeah. I mean, this is just tangential, but I think it applies that, I have an American Guild of Organists local chapter meeting this evening, and it's going to be on Zoom.
Yeah.
And we get more attendance on Zoom than we ever got pre-Zoom for for the real,
And
for the
people don't
in-person
have
meetings.
to, come fly over across the country to
Right.
go do things. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Or
I know
just
I'm
deal with
meeting with the
traffic.
National Committee of the National Presbyterian Church next week. Normally we would be meeting in New York City, and people will be flying in from all over the country, and we're going to do it on Zoom too.
Yeah. 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 We were going to do a national council meeting in Dallas in 2 weeks, and that got canceled. Because it might be coming down here, but it's not coming down in Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
So unfortunately, but I'll get to hang out here, so that's fine.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you one and all for
everybody.
joining us. We will see you back here.
Sounds
next week.
good.